afternoon. Today's Let's Explore It is a little bit different because the Edgerton Explore It Center has live raptors that we use for educational purposes. I thought it would be nice that we introduced you to Roy, our Swainson's hawk, and a little bit of history about our raptor program that we have across the state of Nebraska. So it's called Fontenelle Forest Raptor Recovery, and what the organization does has lots of volunteers across the state that are available if a bird is found on the ground that looks like it's injured, or you know that it's not flying properly. So they call a volunteer to go out and pick it up, and then it's a process to get them across the state to our Raptor Rehab Center on the other side of Lincoln, around Eagle and Elmwood, Murdoch. And there the hospital is where we assess them, fix them up, veterinarians come and help take care of them, and then they are hopefully healed up enough that they will be able to be released back into their habitat from the place that they were picked up. So volunteers across the state are there to go and pick them up, and then we have to drive them and relay, because nobody wants to drive the whole way. So we have a lot of volunteers along the way that we can contact and shuttle the bird to the rehab center. And then once there, it's a pretty neat place that they are assessed, vets, like I said, and then put in flight cages to get their strength back and then to be able to be released. So with all of that, I helped volunteer with that and got me involved and wanted to become an educator of the raptors, which is a real good program to offer to our students that come to the Edgerton Explore It Center. And so with Roy here, he was found back in 2018 on the ground, and they noticed that he just wasn't able to get off the ground, so they picked him up, took him to the center, and when they assessed him, they noticed that his one wing had a fracture in it, and that he was not acting quite right. So what happens sometimes is it doesn't heal properly. So even though they tried to set the wing, it just didn't work, and he was not able to fly well. So he is a really cool bird, and that's when we put them into the education program. And that takes a little bit of training for the bird and for the person that is training the bird or handling the bird. So Roy is what is called a Swainson's hawk. And Swainson's hawk, they really have a large migration that they go from. They can come from Canada, and they stop here a little bit during the harvest season, and then they head all the way down to Argentina. And if you can't fly as a raptor, you pretty much can't hunt, and you would starve. So that's where the education program comes in, and he was saved for that purpose. And so we get an up-close look at what a Swainson's hawk looks like in his feathering. So a lot of times you see a bird that's sitting on a post, and you can't get close to them because they are wild, they like to fly away. So here we can get an up-close personal look at what a raptor looks like. So some noticeable characteristics about what makes a raptor. Notice the beak, all right? It's not just a seed cracking bird that we see in the songbirds. It's curved, very sharp, and very strong in order to help him eat his prey. And if we can see also on his feet, not only does he have the black nails, they're called talons. And those talons are very sharp and very strong. And what those are for is catching the prey. So when they catch the prey with their feet, then they use their beak to tear it up so that they can eat it. Now, if we look real closely at Roy, we can see the left wing maybe doesn't look the same as the right wing. And that was where he had the broken wing, and the feathers just are a little bit different shape there, how they've grown in. Now, raptors have great eyesight. So the word raptor means bird of prey. So that's why they are hunting. Now, Roy has been going through this winter a molting phase. And, you know, as humans, we have hair on our head, right? But if we look at our friend here, feathers pretty much cover his whole body, except for the scaly skin that he has down on his feet. Were you going to show him how you were going to fly? Okay. That's what they do before they get ready to fly, too. So if we look at Roy here, and we notice that he has so many feathers on him, but not all the feathers are the same. They have different purposes, and they look different. There's different shapes to them. So what I have here is as he molted, I kind of collected and saved some of his feathers. And we're going to take a look at some of them here. So from one wing to another, we have feathers from the wings. Now, these feathers are not they don't look alike as far as their, you want to say symmetrical, asymmetrical?
Well, they're mirror images.
They're mirror image, that would be the word. So from there, we can kind of see that one side is a little bit shorter than the other side. So these are from his wings. So a right wing and a left wing. And that's just for them to get better lift, and then the way that they're positioned on his body. Then we have another feather here, and this would be from his tail. Okay, so that one looks pretty much straight with the feathers on both sides. And then we see that he has all these other different feathers on his body, some that are coming out his tail. You can kind of see some of the fluffy ones back here. Show them feathers. Okay, so that are some of these, and I call them kind of like little plumy feathers. You know, of course, they have to insulate them during the, well, that's like wearing their long underwear or underwear that we have. And then we also have some other little feathers here, which, if we can kind of look, it's kind of hard to see. They're on his back, some of these kind of feathers, and little tiny ones, and they even get smaller than this, where we just call them little fluffies. And these are little feathers that come in here, and you can kind of see how they blend in with his body. So different feathers, different places on their body, and for different purposes. Their tail feathers help to guide them when they're flying, like a little rudder. And then his wing feathers will give him the lift. Now kind of back a little bit to Roy when he was found. To tell a bird their age, certain birds don't look like they're adults. Take, for example, the eagle. Bald eagles are all black pretty much when they're younger before they get their white head when they're like 5. Well, Roy, we know that he is a youngster because in Swainson's hawk, they have a really pretty bib that comes in, and he hasn't got that yet. Some of those feathers are starting to change, which will be in here on his neck. And size-wise, males are a little bit smaller than females. So weight and size-wise will tell you if you have a male or a female. Now, if you're kind of wondering, I have him on a leash, and he wears a little bracelet, which is called a jess. And the jess is just to make sure that I can have him on my hand without him flying off and would be getting hurt somewhere, or that I wouldn't be able to catch him. Not that he can fly real good, but he could run. So, just a couple different things about our bird that we have. We also have a kestrel and a little screech owl. So sometime you need to learn a little bit more about our bird program. You can contact us at the Edgerton Explorer Center, and we will be glad to take our birds out and visit with you. Is there any other questions, friends?
Could we try and see if he'll
Open
spread his wings for us?
Let's see. Roy, let's open up your wings for us here. Okay.
Now, do their wings change along with their coloring?
No, they're pretty much the same. The only noticeable difference is you can see some of the darkness coming in on the side here. Now, one other thing that when they're older feathers, you might notice some of the feathers are broken off on the ends. And you can kind of see a new feather is coming in. I don't know if I can. So if you look here, some of these are not the same length. So these are some new ones that have come in here. Some new ones up here. I don't know if I can get a good picture of them without getting him upset. Okay. Oh, and you can kind of see this wing versus this wing. This one, it had been broken off the end. And this one is a little bit longer, so that one still hasn't molted out yet. The other ones have. Now, Roy is pretty much a, so what kind of prey do they eat? So Roy's kind of a cool bird because not only does he like small rodents or whatever, but also at that time when they're migrating from Canada down to Argentina, and we're harvesting our crops around here, grasshoppers are in abundance. And so they like to sit around in the fields that have been picked and will eat lots of grasshoppers that they can fuel up on before they head on south. All right, well, I think that's a little bit about Roy. I'm going to show him off again, Roy. Okay. And they have very intense eyesight, so they can see you creeping up on them. And they don't like people to come up from behind, so that's why he's kind of always leery about what's going on behind him. All right, well, that's a little bit about Roy and our raptor program that we have. If you do find a bird that is down, contact Fontenelle Forest Raptor Recovery, and we can assist in getting the bird to our center. And other than that, come and see our education birds.
Wednesday at 2.
Oh, and Wednesday at 2 o'clock is another Let's Explore It, and that we're going to do monarchs. It's monarch season beginning, and we'll kind of take you through a little bit about what to look for, and maybe if you do see monarchs laying eggs or whatever, some that you can do as a little project at home. All right, so we can see you on Wednesday at 2.